Welcome to this video tutorial on the topic of CEREC Tessera. In this video, we would like to show you the workflow and the parameter settings to be observed in the CEREC software, especially in the case of conventional cementation with CEREC Tessera. First, we will go over the cementation techniques and provide an overview of the minimum wall thickness for crowns in the anterior and posterior regions. With adhesive cementation, the crown must adhere to a minimum wall thickness of 1 mm or 1,000 micrometers. However, with conventional cementation, the minimal wall thickness must be increased to 1.5 mm or 1,500 micrometers. Detailed information about this topic is included in the CEREC Tessera instructions for use. We begin the administration phase of the CEREC software. We are demonstrating a crown restoration on a first molar in the upper jaw, and we have already selected CEREC Tessera under Material in the Indications window. To switch to the acquisition phase, we tap Next at the bottom of the screen. For this type of restoration, at least one image catalog needs to be scanned. Since the prepared tooth is located in the upper jaw image catalog is required, with both other catalogs being optional. Since we will concentrate on the specific settings for a conventional cementation technique in this tutorial, we will skip the scanning process and you will see the finished scanned catalog next. Now, at the bottom of the screen, the little arrow to the right is displayed, indicating that we can move on to the next phase. As already mentioned, this tutorial focuses on the parameter settings. We therefore skip the model phase and go on with the design phase. The CEREC software automatically creates an initial design proposal, which we will first look at from different angles. In the window under Display Objects, the check mark for minimal thickness is set. This means that if the design proposal falls below the minimal thickness at one point, this is indicated by a light blue color. In our case, the minimal thickness is sufficient for adhesive cementation of the restoration. Since this workflow should represent a conventional cementation, we switch back to the step Restoration Parameters. We are now in the local parameters, which means that changes made here are only applied to the currently selected restoration. For conventional cementation of a crown, two parameters have to be adjusted. To do this, we scroll a little further down. Parameters marked with a lock mean that these are manufacturer recommendations. The data maintained here apply to an adhesive cementation technique. Since we showed at the beginning that the minimum wall thickness must be increased for conventional cementation, we will correct the corresponding parameters here. First, we click on the lock symbol for the parameter minimal thickness, radial, which now allows us to correct the value. With conventional cementation of a crown, the value must be set to 1,500 micrometers, which is equivalent to 1.5 millimeters. Next, the minimal wall thickness, occlusal, is adjusted accordingly. Then, both modifications are confirmed with OK. We switch back to the step Edit Restoration, and the light blue coloring shows that the minimal wall thickness, both occlusally and radially, is below the parameter set before. We now recalculate the restoration using the tool of the same name. We check the result again, and if necessary, correct areas where the wall thickness is below the minimum. For this, we activate the Shape tool, circular in two directions. If the restoration cannot be adjusted, for example for reasons of space or design, a subsequent preparation must be made to maintain the minimal wall thickness in the case of conventional cementation. We disable the tool again and switch to the last phase, the manufacture phase. The CEREC software automatically positions the restoration inside the block. Changes to the sprue location can still be made by activating the sprue tool. Since there is no grinding or milling unit connected currently, We can only export the restoration data. Thank you very much for your attention. We would like to wish you every success when working with CEREC and CEREC Tessera.